The air in the hospital room was thick, with the sterile, chemical scent of antiseptic. But beneath it, something else lingered. A faint, metallic odor, like cold iron. He remembered the sensation of falling, the wind roaring in his ears, a deafening, chaotic howl that swallowed every other sound. Then, an impact, not of body against earth, but a sudden, jarring silence, as if the world had been muted. When he awoke, the beeping of the monitors was wrong. Each pulse was a second too slow, a hollow, mechanical imitation of life. His skin felt clammy, perpetually cold, as if the chill of that endless fall had seeped into his bones and refused to leave. And in the quiet moments, he'd hear it. A faint, wet scratching, like fingers dragging slowly across the other side of the wall. The doctors called it a miracle survival, but he knew the truth was far more terrible. Something had caught him in that void, and it did not let go for free. A man, mouth open in a silent scream. This is the story of Leo Mercer, and the day he plunged 300 feet and survived. He made a bargain with his own body, a bargain that stole his voice. To understand the fall, you must first know the man who stood at the peak. Leo Mercer existed in a world defined by sound, a professional free solo climber. His life was a symphony of grating granite, controlled breath, and his own voice. The gym in Boulder was his sanctuary, a place of calculated risk, where every scrape of skin on resin hold was a note in his composition. But this symphony was about to be violently silenced, replaced by a different kind of music altogether. The air in his world was about to grow thick, not with effort, but with a creeping, metallic scent that had no place on the sun-drenched walls. Leo was famous for his calm, instructional commentary during climbs, his voice almost cheerful as he guided viewers through impossible ascents. In one particularly unsettling clip, he's suspended on a cliff face, his smile unwavering as he addresses the camera. His tone remains instructional, but there's an unsettling intimacy to his words as he gestures toward the rock. See that flake? Ooh, he says with that same cheerful calm. It's talking to you. It whispers, I'll hold you, but be gentle. You must listen to the stone people. He taught, he broadcasted. His voice was his anchor and his shield, until that morning, on Wyoming's Sentinel Spire. There, the air grew thick with ozone, and a cold, slick dread took hold. The camera tilts upward, revealing the face of the cliff until the viewer's own sense of balance begins to swim. For Leo, this was a routine ascent, a mere warm-up for the more daunting climb he had planned. He had conquered this route a dozen times before, his movements etched into muscle memory. But at 300 feet, the familiar script tore itself to shreds. Leo's GoPro showed the climb progressing smoothly, his confidence growing with each secure grip. Then his gloved fingers reached for what appeared to be a perfect crimp hold. A sickening, dry crack echoed through the canyon air. The camera lurched violently as the world dissolved into a chaotic tumble of sky and stone. Leo's breath caught in his throat, a sharp gasp that became the first note of a scream. The hold gave way, a cruel twist of fate, a microscopic failure with infinite consequences. In that sliver of time, his body understood what his mind could not accept. This was the final descent, a fall every climber imagines but never survives to remember. His diaphragm seized, yanking in a massive breath for a primal, final scream. But then, something else happened. Something bizarre. A survival instinct so primal, so visceral, it overrode all rational thought. Medical experts would later theorize that as he pitched backward, his entire thoracic cavity seized into a protective spasm. His body braced for an impact that would have liquefied his organs. Then, the screen went silent. The screen didn't fade. It was severed mid-cry, violently truncated. He didn't just stop. He forced that colossal burst of air, that violent vibration from his cords, back down his own throat. It wasn't a mental choice. It was a physical, reflexive act of suppression. He swallowed the sound whole, a gulp of pure terror turned inward. It was a desperate, instinctive maneuver. He forced the scream inward, compressing it into his core until his abdomen became a rigid, pressurized vessel. The cry never escaped. It traveled a deeper, more terrible path. A low, resonant hum now vibrated within him, replacing the silence with a palpable, internal dread. A distant, muffled thud echoed through the silence. The air grew heavy with the metallic scent of ozone and something faintly rotten. Leo stirred in the hospital bed, bandages tight against his skin, surrounded by the cold, sterile hum of medical equipment. A primal dread took hold as the oppressive quiet settled over the room. Amelia's fingers trembled as she clutched her husband's hand, tears carving silent paths through the sterile hospital air. The antiseptic scent of the room turned metallic, like old coins held too long. Dr. Shaw's voice dropped to a whisper that seemed to absorb the light around them. His next words hung in the heavy air. The list is extensive. 2 shattered legs, a fractured pelvis, 7 broken ribs, a collapsed lung. But your spine, Leo, remains intact. Your major organs are bruised, yet completely whole. The air in the room grew thick with the sterile scent of antiseptic and something faintly metallic. A doctor's voice, low and weighted, cut through the quiet hum of machines. It's statistically impossible. Consciousness returned sharply. He was fully awake and alert. He tried to speak, to cry out, but his vocal cords were frozen in his throat. His jaw worked soundlessly, a frantic, convulsing motion against a profound and unnatural stillness. Not a whisper, not even the faintest rasp of air escaped the prison of his own body. Panic flickered in his eyes. He had survived the ordeal, but when he tried to speak, to tell Amelia he was okay, he discovered a new horror. The void had claimed him. The scream he had swallowed during his terror had taken his voice with it, leaving only a hollow silence where words should be. The entity didn't just damage the scope. It removed it entirely, like a surgeon's cold, precise extraction. Then came the video, a rapid montage of tests, each more invasive than the last. The final clip showed the scope descending deep into Leo's throat, a journey into the unknown. The air in the lab grew thick with the scent of ozone and sterile fear. The brain scans and vocal cord images revealed nothing. Dr. Shaw's voice carried a clinical chill as he turned to Amelia. "Everything is structurally perfect," he stated, the sterile air carrying the scent of ozone and antiseptic. His vocal cords are pristine. The neural pathways were firing, but there was no air modulation, no phonation. The physiological act of suppressing that scream had rewired the reflex entirely. A metallic tang of ozone clung to the back of his throat where the scream should have been. His breath hitched, trapped in a body that had learned silence as its new, terrifying instinct. Leo's scream became trapped within him, a psychic feedback loop where his mind's command to vocalize met a somatic blockade, echoing the very paralysis of his fall. The signal to cry out was violently rerouted, contained deep within his own flesh, creating a profound psychosomatic lock. He stared at his own hands, the damp chill of the room seeping into his skin, and clenched his fist muscles corded with the futile effort to force sound from his throat. Only a strained, silent vibration hummed in his chest, a trapped resonance that promised release but delivered only suffocating stillness. His face flushed crimson with the effort, but no sound escaped his lips. The man who had built his life upon his voice was now trapped within an unbreakable silence. Yet the true horror lay not in the quiet, but in the phantom sensation that persisted. It was the unrelenting, invisible pressure, cold and damp against his skin, that truly imprisoned him. For years it remained there, a dense, vibrating sphere of captured sound wedged beneath his ribs. It was a scream, crystallized in time, occupying a physical space within him. Now, Leo sits on a porch overlooking the silent mountains, the weight of it still present. The air carries the scent of cold pine and distant, metallic decay. He communicates through a text-to-speech app on a tablet, its voice flat and robotic. The synthetic voice intones, "I don't dream of the fall, I dream of the scream. In the dream, I finally let it out." A wave of ozone and damp cold seems to emanate from the device as he speaks. Theories about his condition abound, whispered in the spaces between his flat, digital words. The trauma triggered a conversion disorder, a permanent, life-preserving Valsalva maneuver. He made a grotesque trade with his own nervous system, his voice for his survival. The air in the room grew thick, carrying the faint, metallic scent of ozone, and in that suffocating stillness, Leo's eyes locked directly onto the camera. His eyes held a haunted resignation, the look of a man who had seen something that could not be unseen. A cold, damp chill clung to the air as his voice, flat and synthetic from the tablet, broke the stillness. "The doctors say it's in my head," it stated, the words hanging with a metallic, tinny echo. "They're right, it is." A pause, thick with the scent of ozone and antiseptic, then the final, chilling admission. "It's in my abdomen too. It's everywhere but where it should be." He stands, walking with a slight limp to the edge of the porch. He looks out at the peaks he can no longer climb. So, did Leo Mercer survive? His heart beats, his lungs breathe, but the essence of who he was, the teacher, the storyteller, the man who conversed with cliffs, that man fell 300 feet and never rose again. The ozone scent of high altitude, mixed with the earthy decay of pine needles, filled his nostrils. His breath hitched as the cold granite pressed against his trembling hands. In the distance, a solitary bird called, a sharp, lonely sound that echoed through the chasm below. His throat moves, but the world remains cruelly, completely silent. What would you pay to survive? And what if the price was the very sound of your existence? Black screen, the sound of a distant, endless wind. End credits roll over silent, slow-motion footage of Leo's old climbing videos, his voice chattering happily, now ironically muted.
Like the journey? Subscribe and join the next expedition.